Always forgive your enemies, nothing annoys them so much. Be yourself, everyone else is already taken. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all. The only difference between the saint and the sinner is that every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. I think that God in creating man somewhat overestimated his ability. Art is the most intense mode of individualism that the world has known. One should always play fairly when one has the winning cards. The only thing to do with good advice is to pass it on. It is never of any use to oneself. A cynic is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. A little sincerity is a dangerous thing, and a great deal of it is absolutely fatal. The good ended happily, and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means. No great artist ever sees things as they really are. If he did, he would cease to be an artist. I don't want to go to heaven. None of my friends are there. I am not at all cynical, I have merely got experience, which, however, is very much the same thing. There is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written, or badly written. That is all. The only thing that one really knows about human nature is that it changes. Change is the one quality we can predicate of it. Consistency is the last refuge of the unimaginative. It is what you read and you don't have to that determines what you will be when you can't help it. The books that the world calls immoral are books that show the world its own shame. When I was young I thought that money was the most important thing in life. Now that I am old I know that it is. The public is wonderfully tolerant. It forgives everything except genius. Education is an admirable thing, but it is well to remember from time to time that nothing worth knowing can be taught. It is absurd to divide people into good and bad. People are either charming or tedious. A dreamer is one who can only find his way by moonlight, and his punishment is that he sees the dawn before the rest of the world. Art is the most beautiful deception of all. And although people try to incorporate the everyday events of life in it, we must hope that it will remain a deception lest it become a utilitarian thing, sad as a factory. Fashion is a form of ugliness so intolerable that we have to alter it every 6 months. The aim of life is self-development. To realize one's nature perfectly, that is what each of us is here for. I am so clever that sometimes I don't understand a single word of what I am saying. Man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask, and he will tell you the truth. The old believe everything, the middle-aged suspect everything, the young know everything. Anybody can sympathize with the sufferings of a friend, but it requires a very fine nature to sympathize with a friend's success. The only charm of marriage is that it makes a life of deception absolutely necessary for both parties. Morality is simply the attitude we adopt towards people we personally dislike. I can stand brute force, but brute reason is quite unbearable. There is something unfair about its use. It is hitting below the intellect. I can resist everything except temptation. The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. A gentleman is one who never hurts anyone's feelings unintentionally. The only way to get rid of a temptation is to yield to it. Experience is simply the name we give our mistakes. Everything in moderation, including moderation. There is no sin except stupidity. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. The best way to appreciate your job is to imagine yourself without one. Pleasure is the only thing one should live for, nothing ages like happiness. Society often forgives the criminal, it never forgives the dreamer. I am not young enough to know everything, except the value of a good friend. I have nothing to declare except my genius. Life is too important to be taken seriously. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. I am not young enough to know everything. A man who does not think for himself does not think at all. Illusion is the first of all pleasures. Life is too short to be taken seriously. Quotation is a serviceable substitute for wit. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. A true friend stabs you in the front. The only way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it. The world is a stage, but the play is badly cast.